Hi, I'm Nancy Duncan, as you know, owner of Duncan Hearing Healthcare. And I'm here today with Arianna Silva. She is the director of Forever Paws Animal Shelter located here in Fall River. And what I want to do today is talk a little bit about what you do day to day at the shelter and a little bit about yourself. So, how are you? Welcome.
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. It feels weird. Normally, we're sitting side by side on a Friday, chatting face to face. So, it's a little
Yeah,
different
this
for
is
us.
very strange for me, so I'll do the best I can.
I'm sure you'll be fine. I know that you can talk. So, um, talk to me about, you and I actually kind of started. I volunteer at the shelter. She's the director. We kind of started around the same time. So, when did you take over as acting director?
It was in November of 2019. It was like
29.
the third, maybe the third week of November. It was it was right before Thanksgiving because I kind of laughed because I had come in not intending to start right away, just kind of like I was hired, but I came in to kind of look at everything, get a feel for everything, and then I just ended up staying the entire day, and then I just worked the rest of the week.
You saw
Be-
there was a need.
yes, so I had originally thought I was going to start after Thanksgiving, but I started like a week early.
Yep. So, now when you started, you've taken on and created a lot of new projects, a lot of new things that have just really been a positive at the shelter. So, talk to me about what your day to day looks like, which is hard
Uh,
to predict.
so I always have a plan for what my day is going to look like. So my plan for how the day looks is come in. I usually try to do a walkthrough to, just kind of check on everybody. I like to have my own eyes on the animals. And then I kind of look to see who's going home, who's coming in. Do we have any outreach stuff going on during the day? How many volunteers do we have? Is there anything special I have to do, like payroll or, reports for different things? And I kind of just I come in with the hopes that I can look at everything is good, everything goes on its way, and I get to come into my office, do, my job, and then, I always touch base with everybody like halfway through, and then ideally leave at 4:30. So that would be the ideal of what my day-to-day would look like.
And
Would
I'm
it
sure it very rarely looks
actually?
like that.
Yeah, no, it's we're super, super busy. So we hold the contracts for the city of Fall River, the city of New Bedford, and the town of Westport. So we say that a lot, but I don't know if people understand what that actually means.
They
Um,
don't. So why don't you tell us
yeah.
about it?
So yes, we're an animal shelter. Yes, we take in unwanted animals, but by being a contracted facility, we have to take any and all animals brought in by the cities we're contracted with. So that means if New Bedford has a boarding house with 25 cats and 16 dogs, we have to take them immediately. And if Fall River has the same issue, but let's say they have a fire in the city and they have 15 displaced pets, we have to take those guys as well. Doesn't matter if it's the same day, the same hour, the same week, whatever needs the towns have that we're contracted with, those are our first priorities. So we constantly have animal control officers coming in all throughout the day. Most towns have 2 to 3 animal control officers on per day.
Mhm.
So, that three officers for Fall River, 3 officers for New Bedford, that means we could have animals being brought in by 6 different people on the same day.
Right. And try to find
And
space
then
for them.
correct. And now, if you kind of fast forward that idea, that also means the animals that are coming in, some of them have owners that are looking for them who will also be coming in to try to get the animals back. And that whole system is completely unpredictable. You can't schedule it, it just happens.
Right.
So that gets to be a little bit tricky. And then at the same token, we have people coming in here to adopt. So we have appointments throughout the day. So now you have very small staff, shelter with a whole bunch of animals in it, and the potential for a multitude of things happening all at once.
Right. And a lot of moving parts where things can go wrong and you manage it well. I will say from what I've seen.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit for anyone who doesn't know what Forever Paws does on a day to day. What is their goal and what we look at to do for the animals that are quote unquote unwanted?
So it's a lot. I mean, we obviously we want to make sure everyone is fed and everyone is clean, everyone is comfortable, whether they're in a caged area or they're in a community area. They're cleaned multiple times throughout the day. The dogs go for walks every single morning. And then weather permitting, they're rotated outside during the day into our outdoor play yards. And on days that we have volunteers, the volunteers will come in and take them out for multiple walks. Our kennel attendant throughout the day will also do that as well, depending on, how busy the day is will determine, how many times they go out. So for the dogs, ideally, it's that they're let out as many times as possible, that they are given some enrichment during the day, whether that be a puzzle toy or trying to get a treat out of a Kong or a couple of rounds on our agility course or a couple of walks through our walking path. We don't want the animals to just be sitting here stagnant because that's not fun for anybody. Obviously all of those activities I stated are nothing like being in a home, but we try to give them as much enrichment as possible while they're here. That also means we have to pay attention to any of their medical needs. So we have to make sure everybody is current on flea and tick medication, heartworm medication, that they are clean. So yesterday was 60 degrees-ish, and we have 6 nice outdoor pens, that were very muddy. So the dogs had a great time. And then they all had to come in and get cleaned and groomed, which the staff is like, oh my God, what a mess. But when you go in and watch them, like bathing them and stuff, they're laughing, the dogs are kissing their faces. Like it's really a nice touch that a lot of people don't get to see.
Right.
And they send pictures. I'll be sitting here and they'll send a picture to me we have a dog here, Pickles, who's been here for quite some time. He's
I
all white.
love Pickles.
He had mud from his toes all the way up to his waist. He looked like he was like had pants on, and he was like the happiest. The picture was great, and that's kind of what we want to see in the dogs. You see the Sarah McLaughlin commercials, and the dogs are so sad, and makes you want to like cry your eyes out and get your checkbook out and write all these donations because they look so sad. And yes, we definitely want you to take your checkbook out and write us donations, but we don't want our animals to look or feel that alone or neglected, so it's
Right.
really a huge part in making them as happy as they can possibly be here.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's amazed me the most in working with the shelter is how much there can be a negative stigma, I guess, when I have people call or I see posts on Facebook saying, please, somebody take this animal off my hands because I don't want them to go to a shelter, when it's exactly the opposite, because you don't know who you're giving an animal to out on the World Wide Web. But talk to us a little about the process that we do and why at a shelter when it comes to adoption.
Yeah, we get a lot of flack for it from some people. I've had people say this is easier to adopt a child, but this is more paperwork than I had when I bought my house, which I would like to see their paperwork because my paperwork for my
Yes.
house was ginormous, but whatever. But our job is to make sure that when the animals leave here, that we're doing the best of our ability to make sure it's their last stop. They've already had some type of transition. They've already been displaced at least once, in some cases multiple times. And each animal, whether it's a cat, a dog, a small animal, they're all going to have their individual needs and what's going to be appropriate for them versus somebody else. So it all starts with the application, which is kind of lengthy, but it's not like we're asking for paragraphs. A lot of it is circling answers or check boxes or things like that, because we need to know what kind of home you have to understand what kind of animal is going to be suitable for your environment. So for example, we have puppies up for adoption. I can't in good conscience give a 12-week-old puppy to someone who's going to have no choice but to leave it alone for 12 to 13 hours a day without instituting, a dog walker or doggy daycare or something like that, right? I can't put a 1-year-old Siberian Husky in a studio apartment in the dead center of the city that's also going to be left at home alone for 8 hours while someone works.
Right. It's not going to end well.
So and none of it is discriminatory. It's just that we need to make sure it's appropriate for what, for where this animal is going to go and what the animal needs.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand too that when they take an animal in, you don't know what their background is and you don't know what trauma they've been through. And it takes an adjustment period. And I know we see it also often where people the next day are calling saying, this dog's not acclimating. And I think, oh my goodness, how well would you just move to a new house and be right at home?
Right.
So, I think the other part is of this that I want to talk about is people don't realize the shelter is run completely on donations, for the most part, or grants, things of that nature. We don't get any real state funding, regularly, that type. So talk to us about the efforts that you've done and the committees and things that are in place for fundraising or
So
donations.
a lot of it is donation based. The only income that we get that is not donations is whatever we're getting from the cities, which again, you don't know. It could be a great month. It could be a month where you get $125 from one of the cities. You have no idea. So our big focus is the fundraising. So we do two really big fundraisers every year. We do a celebration of giving in September, and then we do the celebration of trees in November.
Mhm.
So those two fundraisers are our big ones. So for the celebration of giving, we look for event sponsors. We look for people to put in ads in the program book, and we look for people to donate items that people can auction them off. The one thing I added this past year was I added the table sponsors.
Mhm.
So as a business, such as yourself, you could purchase the entire table, and then you would have your business logo or a photo of your choice or a message of your choice as the centerpiece for one of the tables in the room. So for example, we had someone who adopted a cat from us, from one of our local animal hospitals. The animal hospital purchased a couple of tables, and they wanted the picture of that cat as the centerpiece for one of their tables as a surprise to their employee. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people put messages up. Some, people got really creative with it, and that was a whole separate set of funding, so to speak, that
Mhm.
was added to that event. That was just a quick idea, really, but
Right.
it went a long way. So that was kind of interesting. The trees, people, local businesses, and families and supporters, they will get a tree from the board of directors, and they will decorate it in a themed type of way. So like there were Harry Potter, there was Star Wars, there was um, holiday spirits, there was trees folk that were kind of showcasing local restaurant gift cards, all kinds of things like that. And then people will buy tickets and then put the tickets in the bag and hope to win. So those are our two big ones. As far as grants, we work with oh my goodness, PetSmart Charities. We've worked with them to try to get spay neuter money. That's one of our biggest expense in the shelter. One of the biggest expenses is vet care, because everybody that comes in need vet care, and everybody that leaves has to be healthy and spayed or neutered prior to going. So we're able to utilize a couple different grants to help with vet care costs.
Now, give us the lowdown on when, because I know a lot of people complain about cost of adoption because they think it's you walk in and we give them a dog. They don't realize what goes into that and what they're getting. And I think that's eye-opening because it's actually less expensive than taking your animal to the vet for that first time. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we have a flat rate for adoptions. Adult cats are $225, kittens are $285. Adult dogs are $325, and puppies, I believe, are $425. And then if we add in any out of state dogs, there's a transport fee added in for $100. But if you get a free kitten off of Craigslist or Facebook or one of the rehoming groups, and you're taking it to a vet, that kitten needs a set of 3 distemper vaccines 3 weeks apart. You can't walk into a vet just for an exam for under $65 in
Correct.
most places. So right there, you have to do the math. 65 times 3. Those are three visits just for your office visit. Then you can add in the price of the vaccine to that, which will also vary. On that third visit, ideally your kitten will be about 12 weeks old. So now you're going to add in a rabies vaccine, which is another vaccine, which again averages between $25 and $45 depending where you go.
Right.
Those 3 visits are already the equivalent of what you would pay to adopt an adult cat who has already had its 2 distemper vaccines, had its rabies vaccine, been spayed or neutered, been microchipped, been dewormed and defleed, and tested for feline FIV and feline AIDS.
Right.
There's no comparison. And it's the same type of thing with the dogs, except it's more money. It's more expensive for dog stuff.
Right. I mean, I've had people say, well, I'll just go to a breeder. I thought, okay, and pay $1,200 plus all the vet bills,
Correct.
etc.
Hmm.
So I think people don't understand. It's not that we're a money making business and you guys are all making 100 grand as
Yeah.
the workers at the shelter. Don't mind the bells on the door. That's for my dog's training for using the restroom.
Well, the
um,
other thing people don't realize is I think that a lot of people think we get vet care for free. They don't
right.
understand that we're paying the vet. So
Most people think you
we
have a
don't,
vet on staff, which really isn't not
we,
true.
it's really not. So we do have a vet that comes into the building weekly,
Mhm.
and she does our physicals on anything. She sees anybody that's sick. She administers any medication, depending on what type of illnesses are active. She does rabies shots, but she doesn't do surgery, and we pay her
Correct.
to be here. So if you look at those prices that I just gave you for the cats, 225 and 285 for kittens, we work with multiple veterinarians, probably 6 or 7. I'm not going to get into all the names of them, but I mean, unless you want me to.
No, that's okay.
Okay. But the prices for spay and neuter are different for each one of those veterinarians. And at
Mhm.
a couple of those veterinarians, I am paying more for a spay neuter surgery than you're paying to adopt the dog and hold
Correct.
or cat. So if my spay surgery is $325 and I just charged you $325,
Right.
that means the shelter loses the money on the rabies, the testing, the microchip, the vaccines, not to mention the food and the care and everything else that went into it.
Plus
Same thing
paying
with
the
the
staff to
cats,
be there. Yep.
plus paying the staff to care for them. Same thing with the cats. There are some vets that it cost us more than $225 to spay a cat.
Right.
So that also falls into the reason why we don't refund people their adoption fees typically when something doesn't work out that's not the animal's fault,
Right.
because we can't return the care that we've given, and we would not be able to afford the proper care that these guys need.
Right. So talk to me about how you got into this. I mean, it's not like you go to school to say, I want to run a shelter. So what brought you to this point?
So I've always been like an animal person. Even when I was little, this is funny, and I can't even believe I'm telling you this. So when I was little, I lived with my parents, obviously, and I had these 2 girlfriends. They were like my best friends. And we decided that we were going to save the animals. And we made a club, and it was called the Animal Campaign. And when you walked down my basement stairs, at the top of the stairs, my dad painted the Animal Campaign headquarters.
That's
Okay.
great.
It was great. So we would go down and we would draw pictures, and we would like write little sayings, and we would bring them to we would bring them to like different places. Like Swansea had Ernest Bell Animal Shelter. My dad was a big townie, so he would call like the guy that was the chief of police, and they would come and like get our literature. And he actually sent some of our stuff to like the president, which is so embarrassing, but we did get something back. So it's been in my blood since I was little.
Right.
And then I went and did a corporate job because it has nothing to do with animals. And while I was doing that corporate job, I actually did some fundraising for here. Forever Paws was selling chocolates, because way back then you would sell chocolates to raise money because everybody loves chocolates. Well, I worked at a corporate call center, so all we do is eat there. So I would come here and get boxes of chocolates and sell them. I had a donation can here, and then I stopped here, and then I trickled more towards where I was from, which is the New Bedford area.
Mhm.
And I did some volunteer work with some other groups, mostly like web type stuff, just because I didn't have time. And then I was laid off, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can actually work in the animal field, but I wanted to do animal rescue. I didn't want to do that stuff or anything like that. And I literally went from a corporate job and salary to minimum wage at the time, which was $8 an hour. And I was the happiest person in the world.
Yep. Yep. I think, and I brought this up in one of my other podcasts, the mantra is don't chase the money, chase your passion, and the money will follow.
Yeah. Yep.
That's generally how I find people end up where they are. It's not what they planned, but that's where it ends up. So talk a little
Yeah.
bit about because COVID happened not long after you took over. You were still getting your
Few
feet wet.
months.
And I remember when that happened, and it was sort of like, what do we do and what's going to happen? So talk a little bit about how that affected you positively and what are some of the, negative outcomes as well. But I think things have changed for the good a little bit in the shelter because of it.
I think so too. I mean, at first it was really scary because everybody was scared. Nobody knew what was going on. You didn't want to be with anybody. You didn't want to be around anybody. You didn't want anybody anywhere, basically.
Well, and you lost all your
Um,
volunteers too at
all
first.
of our volunteers. So we had tons of volunteers. We had, volunteers that came in um, regularly and for years. And we also had schools that came in and helped as well. And again, because we're so small, um, but have so many animals to take care of, losing groups of people at a time was like set everything back. So, instead of being able to come in and start medications or start baths or bring animals to the vet, now we had to go back to the beginning, stop, feed everybody, walk everybody, clean everybody, and then go to jump to the things that they were used to starting at 8 a.m. So that was really difficult. But we are considered essential because we have live animals here, and because we're contracted with cities and towns, people have to have access to come in and get their animals or drop off their animals or quarantine a dangerous animal, things like that. So we were still functioning. It just took us a while to kind of get everything to where we could function properly, and it wasn't like, oh my God, what's going to happen today?
Right.
Good thing about it was, because everything was done by appointment,
Mhm.
and we continue to, because I feel I think that we will probably always stay as an appointment based, because you're not rushed, right? So you're coming in to adopt an animal and then 15 people come in behind you. And I have 4 staff members. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And whether you mean to or not, in the back of your brain is, I have to hurry up. I have to get to the next person. I have to hurry up. I have to get to the next person. By being open by appointment only for all of our appointments, the people that come in and the staff member can take their time. It's more of a personalized experience. There's less chance of anyone forgetting anything to do with the animal, or you forgetting whatever questions you had.
Yep.
So you really have a much better experience, which you should, because you're not buying a pocketbook or a pair of sneakers. Like, you're bringing a live being into your home, and you need to know what to expect, the good, bad, and the ugly. So it's given us a chance to really focus on that customer service, which I really like.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
made the staff happier too because they don't feel like they don't know what their day is going to bring.
Right, and so they can come in and they know, okay, this is where I'm gonna be in the morning, this is what I'm dealing with in the afternoon, this is who's going where at what time, and the stress level has come down quite a bit when everything goes according to plan. I mean, this is a high stress job, but the difference is night and day. I mean, the fact that you kind of have a really good idea of what's gonna happen in the 8 or 10 hours that you're there is definitely a godsend.
Yeah, I agree. Having worked the front desk without appointments versus with has been great. So talk a little bit about, just because people don't really understand the appointment process, what do they have to do to get an appointment?
But what you want to do is you want to go to our website, which is www.foreverpaws.com,
Mhm.
and you're going to click on adopt, and it's going to bring you to a page that says adoption forms. You're going to download that form, and depending on what you're downloading it with, some applications you can fill it right online, like you can fill it right on your computer. Other people, if you don't have the applications that allow it, you'll have to print it out.
Right.
You fill out the application and you can fax it to us, you can email it to us, you can drop it off. We process your application. Once your application is approved, we will call you and set up an appointment. If it's for some, specific animal that you saw, then we'll set up the appointment for you to come in. If you're unsure, you can come in and kind of see what's available and spend time with, whether it's cats or dogs, whatever it is that you're looking for. And if there's nothing here at the time that you want, but let's say you want a Labradoodle, you'll go on a wish list, and then or a pre-approved list. And if we think of it or we have the time and we say, hey, remember Mrs. Jones, she was in a couple weeks ago, wasn't she looking for a dog like that? Then we're going to pull your app and call. But all of our pets are available are online, on adoptapet.com,
Okay.
and that's updated every single day. So you can go on every night, after dinner or something, take a look. And if you see something and you're pre-approved, you can call the next day, give your information, they'll verify that you are pre-approved, and they'll set you up with an appointment.
Yep. And I think that once people understand it, they get it, but otherwise they seem to get a little upset not understanding, the
I know.
process.
I get it, but I mean, most places are appointment, I think. I mean, we're not really a retail store, right? So, I mean, I don't know how you would classify us, but with the
People
amount of
sometimes think it is a retail store, though. They'll call and be like, "Do you happen to have any Maine Coon cats?" Or
yeah, let me check aisle 62 and see what's on the
right.
box, you know?
Yeah, we just had a rash of those turned in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy.
so if somebody, a business or an individual wants to donate, what's the best route to do that for you?
I mean, if they want to donate items, they can go to our Amazon wish list and they can order right off the Amazon wish list and donate to us. It really depends what they want to do with the donation. So we do sponsorships on our website that they can pay a fee for to have their logo on our website for 6 months. And then after the 6 months, they can either re-up or it will get removed. They can make in-kind donations. Everything is tax deductible because we're 501c. So, we're very creative with how how you want to do the donations. I mean, people do it in honor of other people do it in lieu of gifts, people do it in lieu of flowers. I did have a local business come in and wanted to cover the adoption fee of one of our special needs animals.
Mhm.
So when that animal gets adopted, they will find out that they don't have to pay an adoption fee at that point because it was donated by a local business. And we always share all of our businesses that support us. We always share on our social media. We have over 21,000 followers on Facebook, and it's growing. So it's a good place to get your name thrown up there. We're always I never shy away from a conversation about and donating, because there's so many different ways that you can do it that it can be beneficial to the business and the organization. So anybody who is interested, they can certainly email me, asilva@foreverpaws.com, and we can have a chat. But we make a lot of unique things happen, which is kind of cool.
I think one of the most unique ways that I've seen is there's a brick walkway that goes next to the shelter. Anybody's ever been out, you can see it. There are so many things that people put on that, either in honor of a person or a dog that they've lost. You can purchase a
Mhm.
brick and it will be engraved and put on this walkway to forever be remembered. So just so
Yep.
people are aware, they can do that right on the website, right?
Yep, it's right under, if you click donate. I forgot all about that. I think probably because it's winter time and I don't.
You don't see the walkway
Yeah,
right now.
no, I really don't see it. But you can go right onto donation on our donation tab, and you can download the brick form. You can fill out exactly how you want it to say, and you can mail it in with a check. I just tell people when they are filling out that form to use the characters for spacing as well. So like if you want something centered, kind of play with it. So always fill it out in pencil so you can erase it to make sure it's going to be formatted the way you want it.
Right. And it's going to fit. So go ahead.
We do tell people when their bricks are, when they come in. So it takes a little while for the bricks to come in. So people get a little, well, I ordered this brick 2 months ago. It's not in yet. It really depends on the amount of orders that we're sending in versus what the company has to work with. So it's not a very quick process.
And I would recommend for anyone out there listening, you want to follow them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, follow the website, because oftentimes they'll have some specialty things, like we've had calendars and candles and shirts and whatnot available for sale. And those things are a great way to support the shelter. What about volunteering? If someone wants to volunteer, what's the best route to go about doing that?
So we have a volunteer orientation every month. It's the first Sunday of every month. It's right here at the shelter. It's at 9:15 in the morning. So you'll come in and you'll meet our volunteer coordinator, Joyce Pincinalt,
Yep.
and she will kind of take you through the ways, what you'll be able to do, where everything is, and kind of go over the basics with you. There's different ways you can volunteer. You can volunteer for cleaning, you can volunteer for dog walking. I'm also looking for people to volunteer to socialize with the cats. A lot of people don't think of the cats in here, but it's nice when people will come in. We have someone that comes in and reads to them. We have someone that comes in and kind of sings to them, which is, they love it. They go right on your lap. And they
I like
like the
mine would do that.
interaction. And I'm also, once the weather breaks, I'm going to be doing a dog walking orientation once a month on a Saturday, once a month for people who are looking, but they will have to go through the regular volunteer orientation first.
Right.
Okay. And that way they know, how to enter the building, when they're supposed to be here, how to schedule themselves, things like that. They can get that basic piece of it down. And then I'll be working with the people who want to walk the dogs.
And for volunteering, what are the age restrictions? Because a lot of people think they can bring their 3-year-old in to volunteer to clean litter boxes. That's not how it works. There's some safety
No, it's
concerns.
it's 18 plus, unless it's a school type of thing, and then we kind of make that work. But depending on your availability, your age, when you're going to be able to be here, how long you need, how many hours you need to commit to, it'll determine what you're doing and when you can come in.
And if someone's younger, is there that they can come with their parent, but parent has to stay, or is that?
So yes and no. So yes, we will allow parent-child teams, so to speak. And usually the winter and fall, early spring is better for that.
Mhm.
During the summertime, we are so busy and we're so inundated, and we deal with a lot of different types of people. It's not always the best place that you want young children around.
Right.
Which is why we do, the parents have to be with them, and why we really try to stay around 18 and up. So we will be able to accommodate it, but it wouldn't be like a weekly thing. It would probably once or twice a month.
Yep. And one thing I just wanted to touch on is I've been so impressed since you've taken over at the quality and change in the staff as far as just their loyalty, their dedication. I mean, these people are not in this work for the money. I will say that up front. They are in it for the love of the animals. And I've seen you take them and make them into a crackerjack staff. So I want to commend you on that. And it continues to change and grow, all for the good. So kudos to you for that. Oh, I think you're
kind
frozen.
of freezing up a little bit.
There
Yeah.
you are. But just in passing, talk to us about how people can get a hold of the shelter, where they can find you, and so that everyone knows how to reach out, and if they're interested in getting involved, how they can get involved.
So definitely go to our website. It has all of the basic information on there. You can certainly call us, 508-677-9154. We answer the phones between 11 and 4. There's always at least one person here answering the phone. Some days there are 2. Every once in a while there's 3. So if you try to call and you don't get through, you need to call back or leave a message. If you don't leave a message, we can't call you back.
Mm-hmm.
You can certainly send a Facebook message. We do check the Facebook messages, not every day, so if it's something really important, you do want to call during business hours. We are at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River. And we are in the building again, 11 to 4, to answer any questions.
Yeah. And I really want to encourage people, if you're ever looking for something that, it's about giving, and to be a volunteer is an amazing experience and keeps you active in the community. And they only have on a daily basis 3-4 staff at a time. For how many animals at your capacity?
On average, about 66, 67, between 66 and 70 animals on. Right now, we have 24 dogs in the building.
Right. So imagine anybody out there that owns cats or dogs, how it is to care for 1 or 2, never mind 66, and you've got 4 people doing it. So the volunteers are vital to this organization. So if you're considering it or wondering if you've got time, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's well worth it. And what you get back in return is amazing. So I would encourage
it's a great
anyone.
Group.
It really is.
I feel like the volunteers, especially, this past few months, like building the core group back up, everybody wants to be here. Everybody works hard. Everybody gets along with everybody. It's very comfortable. It's a good place to be. It's not one of those places you're going to walk in and no one's going to talk to you, or, you're going to feel like you're bothering someone.
Yeah. And it's really hard to leave there and be in a bad mood after seeing the animals and the pets and all of that. And I know you do a lot with Fall River Reporter. So if you're ever looking at the Facebook and want to see the animals and, not just a hard picture of them, it's a great way to do it with the Fall River Reporter videos, because you can really see the animal's personality. And going back to Pickles, if anyone who's looking for a special needs dog, he's deaf, which, is right up my alley. Well, but I already have my own special needs dog. And he is a sweetheart, a pure white pitty who's deaf, and just needs somebody to train him and work with him. So reach out to the shelter. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I know how busy you are, so I really appreciate it. And thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye.